All right,
recorded.
cool.
We are now
Oh,
recording. Yay.
fuck.
No pressure. So, whenever you are
So,
ready, you start.
just check on the name pronunciation.
It's Gladys West.
Gladys, okay. That's not Gladys. Gladys is fine. To be
How
fair.
did you think it was pronounced?
I mean, I was gonna go for that. I just wanted to check.
Oh, okay. Clearly, you have not met many Gladyses in your life.
You have, I guess.
I've met at least one.
Oh.
She's about 70, so you know. But yeah.
Yeah, I can envision that with no problems.
Very nice, obviously.
Okay. Office noises. Actually, I said he typed in the script. Fuck. Okay.
Yep.
I didn't even know if that came off the mic. Okay, let's start. 26-year-old Gladys West nervously smooths down her skirt before entering a new office at the Naval Service Warfare Center in Virginia. It's her first day on the job, and she knows she'll be extremely busy being a human computer, using hard mathematical equations to create models for planets in space. As Gladys walks to her desk, she can't help but notice that she's one of the few African Americans in the office. In fact, she's only one of 4 African American employees. One of the other ones being her future husband. Gladys takes a deep breath and begins setting up her papers. Gladys takes a deep breath and begins setting up her papers, pens, and other equipment to begin her job. What she doesn't realize, that it's a new job, and the work she'll do, that will. Sorry, I just had a.
You're all good. It is a weird sentence, but yeah, that it should be right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the work she will do that will advance societal movement for the better.
Cool. All right. You're listening to Human Angle, a podcast that focuses on the hidden lives of scientists, asking what makes them human. I'm your co-host, Hughes-Castleberry, here with my other lovely co-host, Matthew Dale, who just got a haircut.
Thank you for that. I'm sure our listeners will appreciate my haircut.
Obviously.
And so we've now had over 900 plays in this podcast, and we couldn't have done it without you, our dear listeners. So thank you for doing what you're doing, so that we can continue to make amazing episodes on these amazing people. And if you like today's episodes, don't forget to like and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe or follow us on your favorite platforms, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or any of the many other platforms there are.
There's so many out there. Definitely.
Yeah, I know.
So today we are talking about Gladys West, the woman who helped create the GPS system, which most of us, of course, take for granted these days. I know I was talking to my parents the other day about GPS, and they were just like, yeah, back when I had to use maps and, print out MapQuest. I'm like, oh, geez.
Yeah, we did stop to ask whether we lost the kind of art of map reading.
Absolutely. Cartography will never be the same again.
Yeah. So thank weird
you.
Reddit nerds now.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Gladys West, for changing the face of cartography in a weird sort of way. So West, as we mentioned, was one of 4 African-American employees working at the Naval Surface Warfare Center when she began working on the GPS technology. And honestly, she's still currently alive and well today at 90 years old. So still kicking. Wow. I like it. Yeah, that's awesome.
I too prefer it when our hosts are alive.
Right? I too would like it if they were still alive and able to tell their stories. That would be great. So I did try to reach out to her for an interview, but I couldn't find her email address, unfortunately. She's retired by now, so I would suspect she probably is done with press and interviews.
She's done with podcasters.
She is. She's done with stupid master students like us.
To go on a podcast.
Right? She's like, I've done at least 50 podcasts already. Just use one of them.
God.
All right. So with that being said, let's tell Gladys's story without her. No, I'm just teasing. No, Gladys has a great story, and I'm very excited we get to tell it on this podcast. So, Gladys West was born as Gladys May Brown in Sutherland, Virginia, in Dinwiddie County. I'm really sorry. That's a very strange name. Dinwiddie.
You didn't even have to put that in. That's what I respect about this script. You just put in the
I
weird
wanted
sounding
to.
county name.
I saw it and I was like, oh yeah, we have to put this in here. And then I was like, should I be really mean to Matthew and make him say it, or should I say it? Then I was like, you know what? He did enough last
You can
time.
say
I should
it.
probably
Yeah.
say it. All right. I'm gonna redo that one. In Dinwiddie County, a rural county south of Richmond in 1930. Her actual birthday is not common knowledge, so we have no idea when she was actually born. While growing up, Gladys knew that she didn't want to work in the fields, picking tobacco, corn, and cotton, or in a nearby factory, beating tobacco leaves into pieces small enough for cigarettes and pipes, which was the work her parents were doing at the time. She said, quote, "I had to get an education to get out," end quote, which I think we've actually seen this quite a bit with some of our other scientists, where education and income inequality are tightly correlated. A study I found, illustrated by the Huffington Post, showed that if you have a higher education, like a 4-year college degree, you'll have a milder economic recession for unemployment compared to someone who doesn't have that degree.
Sorry, could you just unpack that a bit? Milder economic recession?
Yeah, so like if there's an economic recession, you're going to feel it less if you have a 4-year college degree than somebody who may not have that degree, like as far as job hunting.
Okay.
Yeah. I know it was really worded like strange in the article, but yeah, I was like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. Like if you have a 4-year degree or even just a 2-year degree, you're gonna feel job unemployment less than somebody who doesn't.
But is that the case now?
I know. I was just gonna say that, like, with college being so expensive and like fewer people going to college, that's definitely changing the numbers of that.
It's sort of the opposite here, because our problem is that we had such a massive influx of people doing degrees that it's seen as kind of worthless now. Which
no, that's totally fair.
It's
Like
harsh.
it's like everyone has one, therefore no one has one, therefore everybody's the same.
Yeah. But
totally makes sense.
just because it became valuable like in the 90s to have a degree, so the government in the 90s were like, oh, why don't we just market this and try and get everyone to do it, that it just made it worthless from an economic standpoint.
Right.
So yeah.
Plus, like, the UK just has some of the most highly ranked colleges in the world. It makes sense. That's where everybody wants to go. And so, yeah, you get that influx of people with a degree, and then everybody, like, the baseline is everybody has a 4-year degree. So then you're like, oh, now I have to one-up myself and get, a master's degree or a PhD or a postdoc.
And that's how I met you.
Speaking from just my personal background, I did not have that problem of feeling like I had to one-up people with a master's degree. It was more just I wanted to get out of the country for a bit. It was a very expensive vacation, okay?
Oh my God.
But one I thoroughly enjoyed. And come on, let's be real. Your life has been so much better with me in it.
Yeah, I'm on the podcast, so I'm obligated to agree with that.
Yeah. Okay. We can talk about it later, Matthew. It's okay. I can
Sure.
offer you some therapy. I know people. All right. Well, getting back to Gladys West. I don't even know where that conversation took a turn, but it took a turn.
You did the turns there.
Education. Yes, education and inequality. That's right. All right. I'm back now. I can do this. Okay. So, West worked hard to get top grades in all of her subjects in school. Although her family didn't have the money to send her to college, her hard work did pay off because she secured a scholarship to study at Virginia State University by graduating from her high school as the valedictorian in 1948. So clearly she beat the system. Yay!
Sure.
I mean, obviously she's smart enough she could do whatever she wants almost.
Yeah, it's just weird seeing valedictorian there.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I don't think they give scholarships anymore for valedictorians in high school. It just doesn't make sense.
We just don't even have them, so.
Really? You don't have valedictorians in the UK?
No. Well, I mean, not the kind of schools I went to anyway.
Oh,
Maybe
gotcha.
in like public schools, but
I was just
Not
going
on
to say,
state
you went
schools.
to that posh private school where everybody's really smart, so you don't have a valedictorian.
No, that's the complete opposite. I
So
went to like
everybody's...
the worst state school in my city.
Ooh, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Oof. All right.
No
Ouch.
offense to anyone. No offense to anyone who used to teach at the Hewitt that might be listening to this.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, we don't want to offend anyone.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
the teachers were like the only good, were like the good thing about it. To be fair.
Oh, to be fair, good teachers will make or break classes and like just
Yeah.
inspire you to do whatever you want, which is cool.
Yeah, they make it's either they make them by being good at teaching, or you can just fuck around the class and it's really funny. So and it's really fun. So either way, it's a gain as far as I'm concerned.
I like it. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. So clearly West had some great teachers as well for graduating as a valedictorian, besides just being really smart. So yeah, so going back to her life, Virginia State College, now formerly university, was a historically Black public university. She was initially unsure what college to major. Oh, sorry. Let me reread that sentence. Blah, blah, blah. I need more coffee, obviously. She was initially unsure what college major to pursue at VSU, as she had excelled in all her subjects in high school. Obviously, that makes sense. She is a smart
So
person.
does every person on this podcast.
Right? I'm waiting for us to do like a scientist whose like IQ is like 50 and accidentally
Yeah, but
discovers something.
yeah, technically Einstein failed at math. So
I mean, to be fair though, quite a few scientists we've covered on this podcast have not graduated college. So you could count that towards something. But yeah, I agree. Like all of them still are really smart,
yeah.
especially from a young age. So yeah, so obviously Gladys West is one of those people, and she was encouraged to major in science or math because of their difficulty. That's kind of cool, like ultimate challenge sort of thing. Like these are
Yeah,
really hard, so
yeah.
you should do them.
Yeah, I respect that.
I respect that too. So West ultimately chose to study mathematics, a subject mostly studied at her college by men. That kind of makes sense. She also became a member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority in college. That's cool. Kind of shows she has like a social life a little bit there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yep.
No, I don't
Yep.
really know what happens at sororities, but
You don't want to know. It's
okay, that's
scary.
good. No.
Yeah. Sorry, my cat is currently sneezing.
Oh, come on. Come on.
Are you okay there, buddy? Oh, he might cough up a hairball. We'll see. Anyway.
Bring your cat over here.
Oh, you want to see the cat? All right, give me a second.
Well, I thought we might as well bring in some guests.
Come here. Well, we'll just have a guest star on the show. All right. You may now sniff the microphone. Please tell us what you have to say about Gladys West.
That's disappointing.
I know. He clearly did not study the script. All right. Should I let you go back to your chair? Okay. He's going to go back to his chair now. But he says hi.
Hi.
And he's very soft and cute.
I can see.
And may actually cough up a hairball. He's not looking good. Anyway, he'll be fine. Where was I? Oh yeah, sororities. Good times. All right. West graduated in 1952 with a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics. After graduating, she taught math and science for 2 years in Waverly, Virginia. West then returned to VSU to complete her Master's of Mathematics degree, graduating in 1955. So, just like you, she felt like she needed to get a master's degree. No, I'm just teasing. So, she was hired at the Naval Surface Warfare Center in Dahlgren, Virginia in 1956. And Dr. Gladys West, as we mentioned before, was only one of 4 Black employees and the second Black woman ever to be hired. She met her husband, Ira West, at her workplace, where he also worked as a mathematician. They were married in 1957, and they have 3 children and 7 grandchildren. So clearly did well for themselves.
Yeah, that's one way to measure success, I guess.
You have a good family life, I suppose. It sounds like, anyway. West worked as a programmer and analyzed satellite data. she was able to use satellite data to put together altimeter models of the Earth's shape with extreme precision. Concurrently, West earned a second master's degree in public administration from the University of Oklahoma. So, yeah, I really admire her for getting both a second master's degree and working on GPS technology and being like one of the first human computers.
I'm interested to know why she picked public administration as well.
I was wondering
as a
that
second
too.
master's.
Like maybe it was a science communication thing where she was like, I'm doing some really heavy math and like my work is clearly affecting the public. Maybe I just want to go into public administration.
No, she didn't strike me as having the same hatred of science that most people who move to science communication have, though.
For sure, absolutely. It could also just be that maybe it was like a job opportunity thing. Like maybe she wanted to move up in the ranks, and to do that, she should have gotten her master's degree.
Yeah.
I don't know. Very
We'll
interesting.
never know, I guess.
Yeah. Really weird combo, public administration and math, but
administer maths.
You must take the math.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually quite a good combo now that I think about it.
Oh yeah, definitely a lot of job opportunities for sure, which is cool. All right, let's keep going. In the early 1960s, West participated in an award-winning astronomical study that proved the regularity of Pluto's motion relative to Neptune. And so I tried to do more research on this study in the 1960s, and unfortunately I couldn't really find that much on it, just because like either it got buried due to all the other space race stuff going on, or just like it was one of so many studies that it's hard to pick out which one she did. So, but I was always curious, like why Pluto and Neptune? And I think it's part of the space race thing where they're like, oh, let's go explore all the planets during the Cold War. Yay!
I mean, they're probably the planets we knew the least about, surely. So
I think
it makes sense for research.
Yeah, for sure. It's just really interesting
to look at those.
Yeah, it's just
so
interesting.
Pollution. So the regularity. What does it mean by I'm guessing this is part of the stuff you couldn't find out.
Yeah, so I'm thinking the regularity is like Pluto's orbit compared to Neptune. That's just my guess. Because like they wouldn't have had satellites that went out that far into the solar system at this time. So like, of course, all the stuff that they're looking at is more like mathematical models. So yeah, I think she's probably doing a lot more mathematical modeling of the motion. That's just my guess anyway.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I do find it interesting if you look at the 1960s and scientists during this time that most of them are involved in the space race, or at least a good portion, like 40 or 50%.
Yeah, well, it's when governments actually invest, they can provide.
I guess there's something to be said there about how governmental funding, specifically in the US, increases for science during a war or during a tension aspect with another country.
Yeah. Interesting.
Supposedly, instead of just like funding science for science's sake.
I mean, it's just a case like even now, to my understanding, most physics or mathematical research or like engineering, or even a lot of engineering research is like in some way supported by like, the like defense or like
or the military.
Or the army. Yeah, the military.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, yeah.
Absolutely, for sure. Like most engineering students that I've at least, befriended or talked to, most of them end up at like Lockheed Martin or somewhere else that's a military-esque company, as opposed to like just like doing like design or something. So
yeah, it makes sense considering the money that you guys give your military.
I was just gonna say, it really says something about the US when all our scientists are pretty much militarized.
Yeah, I wonder what that could possibly say.
I don't know. Scary thought.
We live in a society.
I was just gonna say, and then you guys in the UK, it's actually like, let's celebrate science and see science for what it is. And over here, we're like, all right, we have to make these bombs.
Yeah, let's go with that.
I know it's a very, very broad stroke generalization I'm making, but still, there's a pattern for sure. There's a pattern. All right, back to Gladys West, because she is a very important person. So West's supervisor, Ralph Neiman, recommended her as project manager for the CSAT radar altimetry project. So I'll explain what altimetry is in a second, actually. She became project manager for this project, the CSAT radar altimetry project, which is the first satellite that could remotely sense oceans. So altimetry is like remote sensing, and using like lasers and whatnot to remote sense, or sonar, depending on which one you're doing. And the reason to remotely sense oceans is for tidal motions, ocean wave models, or even, advancing marine sciences with looking at like depths of ocean or ocean life. So that's kind of cool. I know I read a couple books probably a while ago about using LiDAR, which is similar to altimetry, but they're using like lasers to look at like ancient Maya temples in the Amazon, since the trees are like so overgrown, you can't like physically go in as much. It's not as easy. So they're using like lasers to kind of like do the same thing as like sonar would do in the ocean.
Oh, that's really cool, actually.
Yeah, it is really cool. So yeah, we'll see. So I'm gonna guess that this is probably the primitive model of that, is something where she's using a satellite to do that same sort of sensing.
I wonder if it helps with underwater archaeology as well.
Yeah, actually it does. Like I read a book about the book's called Pirate Hunters, but it's about like underwater ocean divers who use like sonar to discover old ships and like how to get in and like, salvage wreckage and whatnot. So it's really cool. There's definitely a science behind it, which like you wouldn't think about, but there is for sure.
Well, I guess you could just appreciate how wide-ranging the applications are for this technology.
Exactly. Oh, totally. Yeah, not just like scaling.
Yeah, that's the take-home message here.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah. You can use it for anything. So yeah, no, and obviously if we didn't have Gladys West, we probably wouldn't have had this technology as quickly either, which is kind of cool. So West consistently put in extra hours, cutting her team's processing time in half, which makes sense. She seems like kind of a workaholic. In 1979, Neiman recommended West for accommodation in her job. West was a programmer in the Dahlgren division for large-scale computers and a project manager for data processing systems used to analyze satellite data. So, she's really putting in a lot more mathematical modeling plus satellites, which I think is cool. West said of her work, quote, "When you're working every day, you're not thinking, what impact is this going to have on the world? You're thinking, I've got to get this right," end quote. Which makes sense, for sure.
Interesting.
All right, on to you.
All right. So from the mid-1970s and throughout the 1980s, West began programming work on West programmed an IBM computer to deliver increasingly precise calculations which would model the shape of the Earth. An ellipsoid with irregularities known as the geoid?
Yep, geoid.
Yeah, geoid.
That's a Scrabble
fantastic name. That's a fantastic name there. The best name.
I love it.
So generating this extremely accurate model required her to employ increasingly complex algorithms to help account for variations in gravitational forces, tidal forces, and the many other forces which can distort the Earth's shape. And West data ultimately became the basis for the global positioning system, which we now know as GPS. That thing we were talking about earlier, which destroyed cartography.
We'll never look at GPS the same way again.
No, we'll never look at her the same way.
True.
It's a good thing we didn't interview her, because we've just been grilling her about what do you hate maps for.
Why do you hate maps, Gladys? Seriously, Gladys.
Given the economic anxiety that like cartographers have gone through because of this.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, yeah. That is really funny.
Okay, so while she was putting map makers out of business.
I gotta keep that one in though. That one was great.
West published data processing system specifications for the Geostat radar altimeter in 1986, a 60-page illustration guide.
Woo! Sounds like a
Wow,
very what do I want
lovely
to say?
short story.
A very engaging read. You know, it'll put you to sleep in 5 minutes.
Yeah, we have white noise to put ourselves to sleep, but back then they had the data processing system specification for the GeoSat satellite radar altimeter. 60-page illustrated guide.
I like it.
Ugh. I regret trying to do that quickly in this weather. Fuck.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's my fault. It's not your fault that it's 37 degrees.
Just ramble
here.
it off. Oh my gosh, it is a long title.
Yeah.
Whew.
So the Naval Service Weapons Center, the NSWC guide. You're telling me we could have just named it that?
I know. You didn't read the next sentence. That's all I have to say.
You. So the now titled Naval. So the now titled Naval Service Weapons Center Guide, NSWC for short, was published to explain how to increase the accuracy of the estimation of geoid heights and vertical deflection. Topics of satellite geodesy,
I think.
Geodesy. Topics of satellite geodesy. Which geodesy is the science of accurately measuring and predicting the shape of the Earth. So
That's
this was
cool.
achieved.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
No, I'm just saying that was really cool. I didn't even know that field existed.
No, neither did I.
Yep, it does. All the flat earthers out there must be very, very upset.
There are people that have to say that word in their day-to-day job.
Yep.
Yeah. And so this was achieved by processing the data created from the radio altimeter on the GeoSat satellite, which went into orbit on the 12th of March, 1984. Cue the dramatic music there, I guess. Sorry.
You're all good. Did you get Laura's text?
Yeah. Oh, wow. I have to follow that up.
Yep. Fair. School stuff. Woohoo.
So Dr. West retired in 1998. Sorry, I'll do that again. Dr. West retired in 1998 after working at Dahlgren. After working at Dahlgren for 42 years, a true hidden figure, her contributions to the GPS were only rediscovered when a member of West Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority read a biography West submitted for an alumni function. West's humble nature actually kept people from knowing how instrumental she was in the development of the device for decades. I think I'll read that again. That was a bit stilted. Sure. So West's humble nature actually kept people from knowing how instrumental she was in the development of the device for decades. And she admits that she had no idea at the time when she was recording satellite locations and doing accompanying calculations that her work would affect so many and have the impact that it did. So once people, as she got more recognition, West was inducted into the United States Air Force Hall of Fame in 2018, one of the highest honors bestowed by Air Force Space Command. The Air Force Space Command press release at the time called her one of the so-called hidden figures parts. No, I'll do the quote again. Quote, one of the so-called hidden figures parts of the team who did computing for the US military in the era before electronic systems. And for eagle-eared listeners doesn't really work as a phrase, does it?
No, I think it works. Or just like observational.
Eagles aren't like particularly good at hearing though.
No, they're not. Elephant ears?
To bat-eared, no.
Bat-eared. I like it. We need to give bats credit.
Yeah, okay. And keen listeners will recognize this as a reference to the 2016 book by Margaret Lee Shetterly, which was adapted into the film Hidden Figures, which was nominated for an Oscar for sure.
Yes. Yeah, it
And
was. Did you see
did
it?
it win anything?
I don't think it did. I can't remember,
Okay.
to be honest. Did you watch it?
No, I didn't actually
Oh,
watch it.
you gotta go watch it. It's such a good movie.
I mean, yeah, if I could find it, then I'll be sure.
Okay.
I guess I feel like I have to watch it now
How do
after
you
doing
feel
this.
about pirated films? No, I'm just kidding.
Pirated films?
Yeah, like illegally downloaded films.
Oh no, I don't care.
Cool.
Like,
We'll talk later.
no, I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't steal a car, but I'd definitely steal a movie.
That's fair. I get
Oh
it.
no, you won't get that reference. Sorry.
What is that from? Hold on.
I'll show you after the recording. So, name check.
Captain
After the captain.
Godfrey Weeks.
Weeks.
Yeah.
So Captain. So Captain Godfrey Weeks, commanding officer at the Naval Service Warfare Center, Dahlgren Division in 2018, described the role she played in the development of the GPS. She rose through the ranks, worked on the satellite geodesy, and contributed to the accuracy of GPS and the measurement of satellite data. As Gladys West started a career as a mathematician in Dahlgren in 1956, she likely had no idea that her work would impact the world for decades to come. A really touching idea that she was able to eventually understand and realize the impact of the work she did.
Yeah, or just the
I
fact that
think
she finally got credit for it, which I think is
yeah,
good.
no, that too. But I think there's even something even more perverse about her not even understanding that.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
like
Or
she
just
was programmed to believe that she could never make that kind of contribution
right.
to
She was just doing
science.
her job.
Yeah.
That is cool.
So anyway, West was selected by the BBC as part of their 100 Women of 2018, and as alumna of Virginia State University, Dr. Gladys West was nominated for the Female Alumna of the Year and won it at the historically black colleges. Sorry, at the historically black colleges and universities award sponsored by HBCU Digest in 2018. And also in 2018, West completed a PhD via distance learning program with Virginia Tech. Wow.
That's really cool. That
She
like
does not stop. I thought she
no.
retired.
I know. That's what I was thinking too. Is I was like,
What
okay,
is
she
this?
retired in 1998. She was born in when was she born? 1930. So she's what? She's
6.
88 by the time she gets her PhD in 2018.
She just wants to share everyone up at this point.
She's like you, Matthew. She's like, all right, college degrees are worthless. I have to get another one. No,
Thanks
I'm
for
just
that.
teasing. But yeah, no,
Thank you for that.
she maybe just as a workaholic, she probably just got really bored and was like, all right, here's my next big thing. I'm going to do a PhD.
And as of February 2018, West lives in King George County, Virginia. She continues to prefer using a paper map over a tracking system, saying she still trusts her brain above all. That's a weird sort of irony there.
She puts map makers out of business, yet uses pen and paper.
Curious, very curious.
Definitely. Yeah, for sure. So, really good person, though. I very much respect her.
Yeah, definitely. And I hope that's come across. And I hope that's come across the rest of you with our episode. And yeah, thank you for listening to our episode on Gladys West. Stay tuned. Stay tuned for our next episode on Percy L. Julian, a scientist who used plants. Ugh. we must indulge Kenna, so we are now learning about a botanist who used plants to develop medicines, and I'm sure it'll be great.
I'm sure it'll be great too. It'll be spectacular because I get to talk about plants. Fine, we will do an episode about whatever you want to talk about, whatever field.
Oh, other thing. Other thing.
Okay, well, we picked geodesy this time, so
Oh, God. Just don't make me pronounce the binomial names of the plants, that's all I ask.
I'll do my best. I've got to throw a couple in there, though, but I'll do my best.
One of the really stupid ones, which just sound like someone decided to take the piss out of Latin. Like, I'm happy with those.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Or like just something like aloe vera is literally the Latin name and the common name.
Yeah,
It's not that hard.
that's basically integrated into English.
Mhm.
So